Hola, mujeres, and welcome to Cafecito Con. We are a show where we invite guests to inform us, enlighten us, and inspire us by sharing about themselves and the spaces they step into and make their own. We are a team of three intergenerational women, hoping to bring you conversations about women, with women, and for women. We hope to build community one story at a time. We believe that every woman has a story that deserves to be heard so that we can express, inspire, inform, and lead to a true self growth. We call our talks Cafecito Con to have an open forum for a variety of conversations and content. We want to have a cup of love and create spaces for womanhood. We want to reclaim our spaces of conversation about each other. We are not gossiping or chismeando. We are compartiendo, sharing our stories. More importantly, we are giving our best to each other. We'll talk about life, business, hopes, faith, and dreams. At least that's our dream.
Who's Jacqueline Tapia? Who are you?
Oh, oh my God. Oh, wow. That's like I want to say loaded, but it's not in the negative way. It's such in a positive way in the sense that I went through so many changes and I have arrived to own Jackie. And just to give you a little brief synopsis of what I'm saying is that yes, I was born as Jacquelinetapia, and I remember even as a little girl, I've always been such a kid that was very determined from the beginning and very argumentative. And I needed to get things done my way, always. And so, you know, my name is Jacqueline. On my birth certificate is spelled differently, but
Hmm.
I purposefully put my name as Jacqueline with those 10 letters, Jacqueline, because I liked the way it looked. I did not like the other way. And so since then, I every educational document, every certificate, every diploma says Jacqueline Tapia. So, so I've always been driven and very determined um, in my way. But, along the way, I've always been called Jackie or Jack. If you're my sibling or one of my best friends, you'll call me Jack. It's always been shortened. But I say that I started off with Jacqueline and now I have come to Jackie because now Jackie is fun. You know,
Mm.
Jackie is now fun. I mean,
The butterfly has come out.
yes, yes, it's
That
like
that's your
it's
Sasha Fierce name, right?
there you go. Exactly. And so, when after, I went through school, I went through law school, became a lawyer, and in the courtroom, I'm known as Jacqueline Tapia. I go in, Your Honor, Jacqueline Tapia on behalf of whoever my client is, and it's always been that way. Counselor, Jacqueline, whatnot. And I at home it would be Jackie or Jack, but there came a point in my life around 2017 that I really was tired. And I know I shared this with you all before about what I was doing as a profession, as an attorney. I just felt like, is this really it? Is this for me? Do I need to stay here? Because it was affecting not only me personally, it was affecting me spiritually. And I realized when I started diving really deep into personal development that I just was really hiding behind the title. And that it wasn't until I truly discovered the essence of who Jackie is when I started to really be happy and flourish. And I'm not saying flourish in the sense of like financially, although yes, there's been some financial wins, but mostly I would say flourish as a human and just to own my authentic self and not shy away from it. And because in the law, especially when you have, special needs, in the sense of, like, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and I had just started my career as a lawyer, and that was very debilitating. You couldn't tell your client that I can't go to X meeting because I'm actually getting treatment at home with a bunch of nurses. So there was just so much that was in play with the lawyering of my life, and it wasn't until I came head on and confronted those skeletons that were eating me up, that I then, when I broke away, I was like, oh my God, Jackie is here.
I love it that you present yourself as complex as we all are, right? There isn't a way of describing us on the list that goes A to Z, that there is ups, downs, sideways. And I love it. I love what you said, that your strength is that you knew what you wanted and you were going to work for that. I have a daughter that is like that. And when she was little, she would argue with everything. My kids were usually punished by having to do write ups. So when they misbehaved, they wrote an essay. What did I do wrong? Why was it wrong? How am I going to fix it? What am I going to do next time? And this particular child of mine, who was a strong hold, later on would add a paragraph. Why is this punishment so unfair? So you reminded me of her, which is awesome. Sometimes to succeed and to do what you want and to live your life, you have to be that way. And then sometimes you can be easygoing and go with the flow and still succeed. Other times, you're punching the bag and moving forward. But I love it that you present yourself in that complexity of womanhood that we all carry with us. Thank you
Right.
so much for
Oh,
sharing that with us.
oh,
I
thank you.
go.
And that type of personality does really well in lawyering and being an attorney. And so that was the beginning of your journey, right?
Yeah.
How have you continued to evolve?
I every day is a work in progress, right? I always say I'm always learning. The day I stop learning is the day I'm dead. Like I'm dead the day I stop learning and growing. Um, and when I came to a halt, that pivotal moment for me back in 2017, I knew in my heart that the lawyering was not my calling. Like it was, I think. And I say that I think because when you are the daughter of an immigrant who has never been educated in their life, um, you're only surrounded by those that are in your life, in your vortex. Mind you, I'm 48 years old. So we're talking about the 70s and the 80s. There was no Google, there was no finding your mentor across the world. There was none of that
True.
stuff. None of that. None of it. Like, and so if my surroundings were only about, you know, day laborers or blue collar workers or just people in factories, those individuals would see only what was around them. And what was idealism was like the lawyer, the doctor, the engineer, the accountant, those main careers. And so I say that, yes, I wanted to be a lawyer because that's all I knew. That's all I knew. I knew that I was going to be a professional. I knew that in my heart that I can argue my way out of anything. And, but, as I obviously technology started expanding and things started becoming, I then started discovering that there's other areas that I could have been amazing and I could have flourished, but I had no idea. And it wasn't until 17 years into being a lawyer that I realized, like, fuck, I'm sorry, I'm cussing.
No, it's okay. You be you.
It's allowed. It's allowed.
You be you.
Please cuss. Please cuss. That makes me feel better because I'm usually the sailor here.
I'm like, fuck, there has to be something better out for me. Like, is this it? And so at that point in time, when I got into those arenas of personal development, like getting into the Tony Robbins, getting into the Mel Robbins, like these amazing speakers and like these programs and groups, I realized like, wow, this is what I'm all about. I'm a person, I can lead and I can inspire and I can awaken people's souls. But argument wasn't part of it. And in the law, it's mostly
Right.
argument.
Right.
And so that's why there was this internal conflict within me. Well, what do I do now? What do I do now? And so when I got involved in personal development, I'm like, this is why I needed to go through everything to get to this point. Because now, like, I don't wake up thinking like I fucking hate my job.
That's an awful way to
That's
wake
the
up.
worst feeling. No,
Yes.
no. So are you battling because you feel like I did all this work to become a lawyer and now I don't feel like doing it anymore?
You know what? I think there has been a tug of war with that, but I'll say that I came to peace. I really did came to peace, and I think that I am very happy now. I sold my law practice. I said, "This is it. I'm gonna dive in completely, 1,000% into this transformational life space because I feel that this is my calling, that this is my why, my passion." And, in the law, I mean, not to say like, I mean, there's many lawyers out there that love lawyering. They love doing that. And God bless them because we need them because there's always going to be arguments. You always need someone to advocate your position. So, but I have found myself that when I was, even like just counseling them legally, I found myself like coaching them and like to dream bigger,
Interesting.
to dream
That's really
bigger than
interesting.
what they're doing. Like, yes, they come to me to solve an issue, an immediate concern, but I would find out that this is nothing. There's a bigger, deeper thing underneath it all. And that's the part that I love. I love just going in deep and finding out what are the triggers, what's going on. Why is this person always committing the same mistake every time? Why can't they just get out of their bubble? And that's where I started realizing, wow, my creative genius is in empowering, not enabling. That's my creative genius. And when I uttered those words, I was like, oh, okay, God, you lead the way and I will follow. So now everything I do is divinely led. I just go with the flow.
I think that's great. Yeah, I think that's great because that kind of shows that you can pivot no matter where you're at, you know? Um, Even if you strive so hard to get to a certain point and you feel like changing, like that's okay. Like I think I really enjoy that message.
And
Yeah.
then imagine, I mean, I don't know, if there's a 20-year-old trying to tell me, hey, let me make you the best person that you can be. Let me help you self-actualize. I don't know how much I would really, believe in them or what have they lived. So you really do need to go through your own obstacles, your own journey in order to get to that position that you're in helping others self-actualize.
Yes.
Yet we put that pressure on kids, right? And speaking as a mom of young adults, I always told my kids, you go to high school, you graduate, you go to college, you make a career, and then you decide what you're going to do with your life. You're going to get married, you're going to live alone, whatever. But that's a bit backwards because you do need life experience to know what the heck am I going to do? How is it that I want to be a worker and contributor to society? It's taken me a long time to come to that understanding. And it's not from lack of experience because I was a dropout. I went back to school. I've gone to school several times as an adult, right, to form myself. And even though I lived through it, I was telling my kids otherwise. But it's great. We love having women coming to our show and talking about their development as women and in career because it doesn't start with the registration in college. Sometimes you study one thing and you end up doing something else, and that's
Yeah.
okay too, right? So
Yeah.
and you haven't left law because you still serve in that capacity. I actually had to Google and find out what Legal Shield was because I didn't know what it was. I saw that you were a member. I was like, what's Legal Shield?
Yeah, I am associated with them. When I decided I'm done with my practice, I'm like, I don't want to be doing the busy work, but I'm still known as the lawyer. So I'm like, okay, well then I need to make money off of that. I mean, to be
Good for
la,
you.
la
Yeah.
mera neta, la mera
Yeah.
neta. I mean, you know, but what I do is with Legal Shield, it's such a great opportunity because I think that every person that wants to create a business needs to create it properly. And that's becoming a savvy businesswoman because that's who I am. I'm a savvy businesswoman, and I want women who have businesses to be savvy and protected. Okay, because you need to create your business, whether it's an LLC, whether it's an S corp, whether it's an LLP, in whatever capacity. You also need to get your trust established, your will, to make sure that your papers are in order. And if you are a career woman, you need to get that. You need to get it done. And so I align myself with Legal Shield because they pretty much have every kind of lawyer at the palm of your hand. Just by becoming a member, you
Right.
can, like, let's say you want to trademark, I'm sure you already did this, Cafecito con. You get your trademark attorney and you trademark it. And it's so easy because with your membership, it's like what? A couple of $50 plus a couple of other, extra stuff. Um, you could get your trademark.
Yeah.
Like it's like a win-win situation. And especially that we're becoming more digital. People don't want to see people anymore. Like they don't want to come to an office because you just don't know where this person came from. And they already told us that we need to be separated and all that stuff. But so this is like a great way of just handling it because we all need to be protected, in our
Yeah.
businesses and our careers and at the end of life.
And
Right?
then turning the page to today, I mean, we were all in awe and we were so thankful to be in your show. You are the developer, you are the lead, you are the host of Amiga Handle Your Shit. And for those who know me, they know that I do not use the alternative language very much. But here I am, comfortable to say it. Thank you for the permission.
Oh, thank you
I love
for
the
saying it.
title. I love the
Yeah.
title.
It's a great title because sometimes you just want to say that to people, like, handle your
Yeah.
shit already. Like, geez.
Keep each other accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it's interesting because when I came up with the name, it was the way it happened was so funny. Um, we were I turned 45 at the time, and I was with my girlfriends for my birthday, dinner celebration before this whole pandemic, whatever. Oh, actually, it was around the corner. And we were talking about this guy that my girlfriend was dating, and that he just no tenía cojones, and we're like, "Oh, dude, handle your shit." And so when I started this, finding names for the podcast, I thought, oh, well, I know that I wanted to focus it for Latinas, and I know something that resonated with me. And I'm a sailor, truck driver mouth. So I'm like, which
Yes.
one is the less of the evils? What's more PC but not too PC? So when I started recalling, I'm like, oh my God, handle your shit. And I thought, oh, there it is, amiga, handle your shit. So that's how it all happened. And I've been doing it now for since the year 2020, and so it's been amazing. I've had these amazing women. You ladies were just recently on Amiga Handle Your Shit podcast, and I love it. Like, I get to meet some exciting bomb ass girlfriends out there. Like, it's so cool, right? It's so cool.
It was
It
so cool.
certainly isn't. Yeah, and I think that the other thing that I like about this new arena that we're stepping into, right, as included, is that there is this openness and this desire of collaboration, of working together. We invite each other to each other's home. There isn't this friction of, oh, this is mine. And there is enough for everybody. I love it. I think that that's an influence of the younger generation because when I was your ages and younger, I had to be careful with whom I share what I was doing because they would steal my idea and they make it their own, right?
Yeah.
But even if they did, now I see it in a different way. Even if they do, mine is still mine. Theirs becomes theirs with their modification. I lose nothing. It really nothing is taken away from me.
Right.
And so it's awesome that we have this new environment and the new way of conducting ourselves and presenting to the world. So
Yes.
thank you.
No, thank you. No, I absolutely agree because yes, even in, my 40, I'm 48. I mean, even then, I mean, the things that we would say to each other, like mujer a mujer, like
Yep,
cutting us down.
for
And
sure.
and and it was like, fuck, aren't we supposed to be together? Isn't it better if we both thrive?
Yeah,
We
Right?
uplift
go
each other.
farther, we go so much farther when we're empowering each other and
Yes.
supporting each other. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It feels better
1000%.
too.
Oh
And
yeah.
that's what you're all about. I'm really, really excited for the Empowered Amigas movement, Jackie. I'm just so excited. Being a Latina, that what am I, a millennial? A young millennial Latina. I've been looking for groups like this of women that can empower each other and uplift each other. None of that drama, cattiness,
Right.
to feed off of each other's energy. And you're helping build that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for that. Thank you so much. Yes. So the Empowered Amiga movement, I had a dream, and I'm not saying like like our leader. No, I'm just saying that I actually had this visualization years ago of creating something like that. I just didn't know how. I just didn't know with who. I did not know anything. And as I was going through my whole personal development journey, it's like the details will unfold as you start it.
Right.
Clarity, action breeds clarity. And and so I shared my vision with the Amiga tribe, and they were like, okay, how can I support you? What can I do to help you? Jackie, I got a speaker for you. I got this for you. I have this, like Veronica, our beautiful friend. She's like, I know this person who could connect you to this person that can talk to you on this. And I just was like floored by the amazingness of these individual beautiful women. I mean, we have several speakers. We're going to talk about wealth. We're going to talk about movement, like meditation and manifestation and all that stuff. And, and then speak about mindset, which is like we start with the mindset always. That's like the denominator behind the entire program. And I, the more I spoke about it, the more it started developing into something that I thought, wow, who knew? And I'm like, this is the first of many to come. And I'm excited. We're going to do it in downtown Los Angeles, which is the place that I shared that vision with Veronica years ago.
Oh,
Years
Wow.
ago. Years ago, I shared that vision with her. And here we are. And I'm like, talk about manifesting. Talk about the universe just aligning with your deepest, truest self. And I thought, wow, I am so honored and so lucky to have these women say yes. And and I know it's going to be so damn epic. I want everybody to be there.
Well,
So,
I think that Rosa and I will be there because we've talked about it, and that's our
yes.
plan.
oh,
Yeah,
I'd
and
love to have you there.
I did participate in that vision boarding activity last Friday. I know exactly what you're talking about. We had an amazing speaker. She pumped me up. I wanted to do some cycling in the middle of that. I was so pumped up. But you're just drinking a glass of wine, and you're also overlooking Los Angeles.
It's a
You're
beautiful
what
place.
floor is it? I think it was the 51st floor
Yes.
on the
Right.
rooftop.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that room specifically had this feeling of like grandeur. This is big. It made me feel 2022 is going to be huge, and just to
Yes.
have that place as a place to reflect and think about who I am and where it is that I want to be, you don't get that too often.
Right. Yes, exactly. I think the location really brings everything to light. Meaning, you want a high class value with a high class vibe. And what I mean that when I say high class, I mean like the vibe is so amazing, so intense that you want your surroundings to look that way too. So it's an outer, inner, outer. And having the function be there, it's not only a dream for me, but it really encourages everybody to think, I'm on the 51st fucking floor of downtown Los Angeles.
Yes.
I'm on top of the world, and I'm going to continue to be on top of the world. And that is what I want these amigas to come away with. This sense of empowerment, this sense of like, damn, these speakers are so damn prolific. One day I'll be there, you
It is
know?
grandiose. Yeah, it is very grandiose to be there. I have been fortunate to be there on several occasions. And it's great that this is an affordable opportunity for some of us, right? But then there is the younger generations. I mean, I talk with younger people very often, and, they're concerned with this class issue with what is high class, what is it to be rich, can we even afford a house. The markets are not as friendly for those who are still in college or just coming out of college. Life is so different. So, hopefully we'll be able to trickle down some of those experiences, if not by them being present there, by us absorbing the information and passing it on, right? I
Yeah.
mean, there are just so many ways of getting there,
Yeah.
and affording that experience, and being exposed to that, so that we don't stay exclusive. I think that that's one of the things that I admire the most of the younger generations, their philosophy, their commitment to inclusiveness, and how do we make it accessible? How do we make it affordable? How do we make it available to everyone? So, I look forward to you putting something together like that for the younger ones too,
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I just invite me anywhere. I'll go. Yeah, no, and right. I mean, this newer generation, what are they? The Z generation is Z, right?
Okay,
Gen
I'm
Am
a
Z.
I
baby boom,
Gen Z?
okay? Just so
Yeah,
that you know.
Gen Z. Gen Z.
Gen Z. Yes, they look at life very differently, and so we as older Latinas, well, me, I'm just gonna say me. I need to start, like, okay, what do they want? What do they need? Because we're always growing and evolving. I tend to be old school by note taking, But these kids don't note take. Everything is on the computer, or what is it, an
On their
iPad or
phone?
on their phone. And so I I'm educating, I'm getting educated myself to see where this is going to lead us, because it's going to be completely different 10 years from today.
Yeah,
Just
for
as
sure.
10 years ago, we barely had Facebook, right? So, I got to get up with the sign of the times for sure, 1000%. And I'm thrilled to be surrounded by young Latinas. I mean, and I say Latinas because that's like my thing. I hope that they can learn from women such as ourselves, as having this much experience in life, and they need to go through their hurdles. It's okay to make mistakes, because that's when we start to grow. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
that's when we grow. Believe me, all these years of being a lawyer, believe all the mistake. Oh my Lord.
I think that's what we have to do is adjust maybe these presentations or what have you to adapt to what the kids are using. I think like growing up, I felt like, oh, I have to do it this way. Like I have to because that's what I was taught. And I like kept really structure, not like using my imagination and trying to go outside the box to make life easier or whatever task easier because I thought it had to be one way. So, you know, I think that's what we have to do. And that's kind of what we're doing now. We're jumping out using Clubhouse and all these forums to try to promote this message to the younger people and say, hello, we're here. Ask us questions.
Yeah, yes, I love it. I love it. And on Clubhouse, when I got exposed to it was maybe a year ago, when I was like, what is this thing? And I'm like, and there's like a different way of talking, in a sense, like I'm complete. Like when you end the conversation, I'm complete, and I'm like, oh, that's a new thing. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to learn the lingo, the way to navigate this, and it's amazing the kinds of stuff that is happening with our world. This technology, and I know, Stephanie, you're an engineer, so you see like all of that stuff, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm scared.
I think it's scary for anybody. I mean, especially if it's something you don't know yet. Like if you're new to anything, it's scary. But for me, being a nerd, it's just it's exciting. I get a
Yes,
thrill.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
and
I
for
love
someone
that.
like me, we need what my kids used to call, still call sometimes, the mommy translator, because I will do one thing, but it means something else, right? And I'm
uh,
still looking, when I see three letters instead of the words, I still have to Google it to see what is it that means, and
yeah,
is it
yeah,
offensive? Is it okay to use? When is it appropriate to use? I feel like I'm schooling every single day.
yeah,
But
yeah,
that's what we have to do. If we want them to learn, we
yeah.
have to do our part and learn ourselves, right?
Oh,
I
yeah,
wish that the
yeah,
lessons will stay, but we'll just
yes,
keep at it. We just
yeah.
keep trying, and we'll get there. But going back to your mission, your vision, your service to womanhood and to Latinas. And by the way, thank you very much for serving Latinas. I think that we don't need to be set apart, but we do need our space at the same time. Sometimes it's good to be mixed in with everyone, and sometimes we just want to identify, right? Whether it is by Latina, Latinx, however it is that you describe yourself. But there is a point of connection there, and bringing forward the leadership that we need from each other, and the upcoming younger generations need too, because it's not just about them, it's about us too. And so having an opportunity to think, to reflect, to plan, to project, it's very exquisite. And you shared with us that that's not something you grew up with, but now you coach on that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how do you come to that place where you say, okay, either I know enough so that I can pass it on, or I'm ready to learn enough so that I can be ready to share with others? What is your space? Where do you land on that land?
Well, I'm always growing, always. And just for by way of example, I'm sure that this is in every career profession, even in the practice of law, just because you pass the bar, in like for me in the state of California in the year 2000, I still have to continue education to be on top of the new laws that are coming. So it's like I could be an expert on immigration and family-based immigration, but even within that, it's constantly evolving. And as a lawyer, you still have to be educated with the new laws, right? And I think the same thing with this transformational life space is that there's always new concepts, there's always new theories, and I'm just like consuming it like water. I'm like I'm constantly feeding myself with either a podcast or with literature or or going into these organizations that are dedicated to those in those rooms and learning the new techniques, the new styles. And it's constantly. I always feel like I'm always learning. I'm never gonna end that because the day I stop is the day I'm dead. You know, point and simple. Like I'm growing every day, and the day I stop growing is the day that God says it's time for you to go. And so I try to not only get educated in the law, but I also continue to educate myself in the transformational life space and bring the new ideas, bring the new steps to like wisdom or steps to financial wealth or and if I don't know it, I go seek it out. I'm not afraid to ask. It's one thing I'm very good at. I'm great at asking.
Did you ever have a fear of asking?
Yes, yes. Okay, I'll tell you.
And
When
how'd you get over it?
Oh my God. So let me tell you. So going into high school, I was, what's it called? I did very well back in the 80s, right? And, but the high school that I was in, it had most of the people were Latinos, I think. Yes, most of them, right? And then I got accepted to USC, into UCLA, into all these schools, and I show up at USC in the year 1992, and I'm like, where are they? Where are the Latinos? Like, there was none. There
Right.
was none.
Ghost
Like,
town.
ghost
Yeah, I
town.
cannot imagine.
Yeah.
So going into a class with a bunch of people, everyone that was non-Latino, because I'm telling you, they were far and few between, was so daunting and nerve-wracking. And even though I wanted to ask a question, I wouldn't. That's how scared I was. And I was thankful that there were like TA hours because I would like if I liked the TA, then I would be able to like, oh my God, I think I can ask her or him. And but it wasn't in a big class. I couldn't. Like it was really, really tough. It wasn't until I got into law school that I really learned how to ask questions and realize how powerful it is to know how to ask a question. And so, you know, but yeah, it wasn't like that all the time. I'm telling you, I was so like Latina in my Latino school, and then I come to this mostly Caucasian institution where I've never seen so many Caucasians in my life. And
What?
here I
Don't you
am,
live in the United States?
you know, and for me it was
Yeah.
really really
Yeah.
daunting.
Sometimes
Go ahead.
it's interesting. I used to work as a college advisor, and I've heard the stories of other women that have gone to more prestigious universities like USC, UC Berkeley, UCLA, and they did not enjoy it. Some of them did not enjoy it because the lack of diversity was very apparent, and they did not feel like they could be themselves. Or even UC Santa Barbara, that is one of those schools where, you're the other person, and it's not an easy thing to be living every day. I feel very fortunate because I went to UC Riverside. huge Hispanic serving institution, great with financial aid, a lot of Latinos. And although I had the opportunity to go to UC San Diego, um, I do feel like UC Riverside really helped me come out of my shell. And it was being a part of a huge community. I didn't feel like another. I felt like the top of the school while I was there. So
Yeah.
it makes a huge, huge difference.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
some of us are able to come out of our shell, and sometimes some of us are pushed out of our shell. Because
That is
that was
true.
my experience,
Right, right, right.
being not just a Latina, but an immigrant. And when I was in college, my first few years, I was an undocumented Latina. I remember my mom telling me, okay, you got to watch the bus stop. If you see white vans, enter into a business, go somewhere, be safe. You have to be alert all the time. And there are all these barriers that we have to face. But here we are. We can overcome it. And I think that's probably the bigger message for younger women, not just young, but younger women, that as hard as it is at the moment, we're going to live through it and we will come out on the other side. What is it going to look like? Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is possible. It is possible to walk through this valley of pain and ache and differentiation, because whether we like it or not, it still exists. We still live in that world where, for one reason or another, we can be looked down. And what I tell my girls, or I used to tell them when they were in high school, is, insults are like an ugly sweater. If you are given an ugly sweater by any member of your family, you say thank you and you put it away. You don't have to wear it. It's the same thing with insults. You don't have to wear them. You can put them
Yeah.
aside. And I know it's easier said than done, but it can be done. 'Cause
Yeah.
just like there is a lot of love, like in this call and in this conversation, there is a lot of other than love. And I wanted to ask you, is there a philosophy? Is there any idea that your vision is rooted in? I believe in emotional intelligence. I love the concept of emotional intelligence. I have been reading and trying to practice it for many years now. But there's so many options out there. Is there something that you pick that is yours, that you live by?
Oh goodness. There's, when I started really digging deep into personal development, I've learned that, you know, everything you need is within you now. Okay. And when I say that, you know, having been, practicing law for so many years, there was always a formula to solve the puzzle. And I use that formula to empower amigas and just added my sprinkle, my fairy dust on it so that they can find alignment in them in themselves. And like I said, when I was solving problems for my clients, there was always an issue, there was always the rule, there was this analysis, and there's a conclusion. Always, everything. And once I really empowered myself with that gift, that knowledge, I realized, wow, we've been doing this forever as a human, whether we know it or not. Because if you're confronted with a certain issue, you go back and you dig and you find out the answer and you're searching for that result. And so having gone to the pavement and really discovering the gifts, the tools, the hacks, I realized I always had it in me because I learned it a long time ago. I just never thought it was a formula to live by. And so now I live by the formula which I call Amiga, which is ask, mindset, investigation, gratitude, and alignment. And that's what I live by, and that's what I teach in my courses. And I have not only have I found value, but my students in my courses have found a lot of tremendous value in it, to the point where they start making more money. They start going into education when they thought they could never get into education. And so I realized, I'm like, wow, like how cool is that? To come up with something that was already there that I had no idea and just refine it. Because we all have it in us. We all do. We just sometimes need that extra push.
Oh, I
Love
think
That's
it.
all.
I think that's great that you took, what you created and you put a definition to it. You totally just made it your own, and I think that's a great message, that you could just create whatever it is that you want to create and just make it your own and form it to the direction you want it to be in. That's
Yes. No,
fantastic. Congratulations to you.
thank you
Yeah.
so thank
Goals.
you,
That
amiga.
is goals.
I like that acronym. Yeah.
Yeah, and like
Thank
a good
you.
teacher, you don't see those who you touch as empty vessels. You
No.
see them as having something to contribute that you can contribute to, not that they don't know or that they're lost and you're finding them. No, they have their tools. That is awesome. As a teacher, that's, I think it's one of the most positive ways to approach anyone that you're going to be sharing and the experience of learning, right? So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
so awesome. I love it too. Count me in.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. I know that I when I just was like, I'm like, wait a minute, but you do this. You've been doing it. Like it just kind of it came to me like boom, Jackie, it's already in you, you know? Excuse me. It's already in you. And oh my God.
Ooh,
Excuse me, ladies.
Grab some
I
water.
have
guess
a
It's
drink.
okay.
too,
Yeah.
too much
Yeah.
too much talking.
Yeah.
We've been chit-chatting for a minute, so it's all good.
So yeah, I mean I felt like I see all these like gurus, with their processes and formulas and stuff, and I thought, you know what? This is a formula I can stand by, and I know it, and I've implemented in my life, and my clients and whatnot, and because it's like it's so easy, it's so simple, and if you could, it's a way of like, okay, pivot. All right, amiga, let's do this. Let's do this. All right, what question do you need to ask to get that result that you want? And it starts there. It always starts with the way you ask. The way you ask, how you're asking it, has a big, big, um, uh, a big
Influence and impact for
influence
sure.
and impact on
Yeah.
how the thing is going to manage
Yeah.
itself. Tony Robbins always talks about like successful people ask better questions. And that's what I always teach my students. I say, learn to ask a better question in everything you do, because you will be led to the right answer when you ask a better question. It's in everything, even in the law. If you don't ask the right question in cross examination, game over. You're done. And it's the same thing with life. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Mind blown.
You were meant to be a lawyer first, so you can bring all of this to the Empowered Amigas movement. That's amazing.
Aw,
Yeah.
thank
Oh
you.
my
Thank you.
God.
I appreciate that. Thank you so
Wow.
much.
The
You
other
know,
piece that we'd like to ask you and talk a little bit about is your spiritual life. We always talk about women being this whole package, right? But we're not just one section. We're
yes.
not just the mom, the friend, the doctor, whatever it is that we are, right? That there is a whole component to it, and spiritual life is part of it. However, it is that you see it. So, what is yours like?
Well, that is the utmost important thing in my life. Number one, spirituality is number one in my life. I every morning I give gratitude to my God because I was born and raised Catholic. You don't need to have a religion or anything like that, but I'm just saying that for my own life. I've always known that there was a higher being outside of me. Okay. I've always known that. I felt it. I'm an empath and I own it now that I am an empath. Versus before, when I was a kid, I was fighting it truth be told, because part of the gift that God gave me is having people come in through my dreams into passing by in life. So before people would pass away, they would come and talk to me and let me know that they were going to go pass away. And as a kid, that scared the shit out of me. And I told God, stop it. I don't want that. And for a long time, God didn't give it to me. And then realizing that I'm an empath, I realized, wait a minute, this is a gift, Jackie. Don't shun away from it. This is a gift. And so, since I know that to be true, I make sure that part of my life is being fed, and that I really sit still and I get grounded. I pray and I meditate every day so that God can send me the messages. I have my angels come and tell me what I need to do, what is next in my life. Spirituality is, I'm telling you, without it, I'm not alive. Without it, there's no reason to be alive, in my opinion. It's so integral in what I do, and those that are part of my courses and in part of my circles, I make sure that they are, because I mean, I never understood concepts of like there is no God, there is no this, there is no that, and I'm like, but you have a soul. And I'm like, my soul is different from your soul. Like we have the ability to love, you know, and that is spiritual. So how can we not claim that there is a higher force, whatever you want to call it, because not everybody has God in their life, but that's okay. If it's the universe, their highest self, whatever it is, there's always this other strong universal element in their lives. And for me, it's true. Like I love I love doing all that. I love whenever I get the opportunity. I'm not like the biggest religious person, but whenever I have an opportunity to be at mass or to be in community with others that think the same way, God, it's so amazing. It's so powerful. And, I love singing. And even as a little girl, being in the choir, um, it just is, there's so much energy. Like I go to mass and I'm crying and I'm like, oh God, I hope nobody's seeing me. But it's because I feel like the energy just vibrating throughout my body. And I don't know how it is not to have that. It's just such a part of my identity that, I feel like, if you don't have it, like, how do you function? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, but yes,
You go
spirituality is
all in,
what's,
and that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, all in.
So you're
I'm like,
complete.
I'm complete. Yes, I'm complete.
I love it. Amen to that. I think I agree with you on many levels. I don't think that we need the institution to be faithful, but there is a part of us that hungers for it, whether we admit it or not. Eventually, we all find it, hopefully, right? Thank
Yeah.
you so much for spending time with us, for opening your heart, for sharing
Oh,
your mind with us. Such a generous gift that you had given us. And yet, we're going to ask you for one more gift. We like to close our show with a quote or with a food for thought. And we want you to share with everyone
oh yeah.
your quote, your inspiration.
Marianne Williamson. And she says, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate, but our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure.
That's great. Yeah. So it's just the whole like being afraid of being great, right?
Yeah. I mean, if you have a dream and it doesn't scare you, then you're not dreaming big enough.
There you go.
I like that.
Cafecito Con is a production of 3 intergenerational women who hope to bring you conversations with women for women. You can listen to previous shows on the app, or you can look us up on YouTube by our name, Cafecito Con. We encourage you to follow us and keep listening. If you'd like to send us a message, do so via Messenger or our Facebook page or via Instagram at 2cafecitocon. That is number 2, Cafecito Con, all in one word. Feel free to share and keep listening.